keeping the season alive. That's exactly what Real Madrid have done, winning by 1-0, meaning that it's 4 points now that separate the top two with 5 games remaining, including, of course, El Clasico on May 11th. Luis Garcia joins us. Luis, this was all about getting the win. That's what Real Madrid did. Turn the page, move on, focus on Saturday now.
Yes, Dan. That's when a neighbor of yours invite you to go for a dinner. You don't want to go, but you go there. You just grab the meal, free meal, and you go back home. That's what it is.
Wow.
The game against Getafe today for Real Madrid.
Luis, don't you live next door to Simeone? Are you talking?
Yeah, but it's got good meals, good lunch. This wasn't a good lunch, to be honest.
Not particularly tasty when you go over to the Nichols. Is that something?
I've never heard it, Luis. I've never heard it described.
Great analogy.
Although most of my neighbours, I believe, don't like me anyway.
Well, it's because you shout at them for walking their dog past your house.
Shall we get into the dog side of it? No. This was, I mentioned it there, keeping the season alive. Thibaut Courtois making big saves. But again, I mean, it wasn't a great performance, but that's not a surprise. It didn't have to be. It was about getting 3 points. But one of the things that crept up again was making good decisions in the final third. And once again, we saw Vinicius and others making poor decisions for themselves, rather than playing a player in a better position to kill the game off, to make it 2-0, to make it 3-0, so that Thibaut Courtois doesn't have to make good saves at the end, last ditch. And that's that decision-making where it's not about you. And we've seen it from many players, particularly in this Real Madrid side. And I'm talking about the instance when Vinicius was through in the second half, and he comes inside, the ball's behind him, he tries to dig it out, and he's got Valverde there, he's got a couple of players on this side. It's this time of year where everything that's gone before you forget about it. Mm-hmm. You have to make good decisions. And the fact that Real Madrid didn't meant the game went all the way down to the wire, 97 or 98 minutes, whatever it is. And fortunately for them, they have arguably the best goalkeeper in the world who's there to manage to sort of bail them out. He rested some players. That worked, brought in several others, and particularly Diaz and Arda Güler. That worked. Endrick could have got himself a goal. So a bit like Hansi Flick last night. In yesterday's game, he made some changes. It was a risk. It paid off. Ancelotti has done the same. And we march on, and this title race is not dead in the water yet.
Yes, indeed. And as I mentioned, 5 games remaining. In our pre-match show, Sidlow was trying to tell us that it was, in fact, Barcelona that had the harder run-in compared to that of Real Madrid. Do you agree with Sid, Luis?
No, I don't agree with Sid. That's why I mentioned it. I think that, of course, when you play against teams like Villarreal, like Athletic Club, you know that you're going to be always top. But for Barcelona, it's sometimes even better to play against those teams. Barcelona struggles when they play against teams like we saw in the past, Leganés, Las Palmas. They sit at the back. It's difficult to break them down. Yesterday, we saw once again against Mallorca, because there is no space. It's more difficult to play. But when you play against teams that like to play football, go in attack, be open, like Athletic Club de Bilbao, like Villarreal, I think it suits better to Barcelona, and much more when Barcelona is in that fantastic run, in that fantastic momentum. We saw Barcelona playing very well yesterday. They did a very good job, even though that they didn't have the end product, but they managed to create so many chances. So in the end, if you see Real Madrid today, if you see Real Madrid at the weekend, if you see the Real Madrid for the last 2-3 months, you could understand why I'm saying that. It's because we don't see identity on this Real Madrid side. Today, they grabbed the 3 points because just one moment of brilliance once again from Arda Güler, but that's it. That's everything that we've seen from Real Madrid. Actually, they were dominated, but Getafe, that doesn't like to have the ball, is always making long balls, and in the end, they were having the ball in possession. So that's why I think that even though Barcelona has got better teams in front, I think it suits them better for the way they play.
But that Villarreal and Athletic Club game are the last 2 games. Had it been the opposite way around, then it might have been slightly different. I mean,
right.
They have 3 league games before they get to those 2. There's no doubt those 2 are 2 of the better sides in La Liga. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But Barcelona have Valladolid, Clásico and Espanyol, and they might not even have to worry about Villarreal and Athletic Club. Yeah. They can put that to bed themselves. It is in their hands. Now, obviously, you know, if they drop some points and the Clásico they lose, then that's a different scenario. You might turn around and say then, well, hold on a minute, this is looking a bit trickier for Barcelona. But because of the way the fixtures are, I think if I was Barcelona, I would still be pretty comfortable, because if I go out and do it for myself, by the time we get to those Villarreal games, they'll already have won the title and they'll be celebrating.
Of course, before we talk about La Liga and Celta Vigo and Valladolid, there's a little matter of the Copa del Rey finals, Shaq. Arda Güler played well today. Is there any chance that he's got Carlo Ancelotti second-guessing his starting 11 for Saturday, or does he already know it?
I think he already knows it. And while Arda Güler certainly has, I guess, given Carlo Ancelotti a little bit of an issue, I don't think Ancelotti will change too much in his approach, as you expect. And the truth is, while Arda Güler certainly played well, it was a pretty typical Real Madrid performance that we've seen all season long. Not overly convincing, but getting over the line as we point out. So as a result, I don't think Ancelotti at this point is going to gamble on who his preferred starting 11 is.
What do you think, Luis?
No, I don't think they'd have zero chance. I think that the option of playing today, I think he was just given because he needed to rotate. He didn't want to play Rodrigo. He didn't want to play Jude Bellingham. So in the end, you have to go. He's not going to go to Vallejo. He hasn't played in the whole season. Or Ceballos, he wants to also use him for probably the game at the weekend. The rhythm of Barcelona is not suited to Arda Güler. And today he played easy and comfortable because he was playing as a centre midfielder. There was no pressure from Getafe, so it's very easy to go there, grab the ball and make it pass it. The goal is a fantastic goal, fantastic shoot from outside the box. But after that, we didn't see much from Arda Güler, just keeping the ball tightly, don't losing the ball, don't give the ball away. And I think that's good for a player who hasn't been involved. So I think that he played a good game, but zero chance to play at the weekend.
So Carlo Ancelotti said this week that he likes 4-4-2, that's his preferred
Is your man going to be fit, do we know?
Yes, Mbappe will be available, which then begs the question, are you going to have Vinicius, Mbappe and Rodrigo up front?
Well, what he did at Arsenal was, which clearly didn't work, particularly at the Emirates, but what he did was he had Bellingham on one side and Rodrigo on the other in a 4-4-2, and that didn't work. Whether he... I think he could draw. I think Rodrigo could miss out if it goes that way. I think we could see somebody like Valverde
in midfield
on the right hand
side,
and Lucas Vázquez at right back, and Valverde maybe doing a little bit of both from the right hand side and the central position. I just don't think Rodrigo's form has been enough to say you can't leave me out. Now don't get me wrong, none of the others have, but they are further up the pecking order, aren't they? When it's coming to be left out of the team, then it's not Vinicius, it's not Mbappe, it's Rodrigo, the one to miss out. And so I think he will. Probably looking, depending on fitness, of Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Valverde. But again, Camavinga sort of hobbled off. And then you'll probably have the front pairing, who the hell knows what they're going to do.
Right.
I mean, they could be blisteringly good and, rising to this big occasion. Or it could be the two imposters this season that sort of wander around and think the world owes them a favour. We just don't know, and Carlo Ancelotti doesn't know.
To that point, you're going on holiday tomorrow.
It's not a holiday.
Well, what is it?
A trip.
You're going on a trip with old men to play golf. Looking at your prediction, what would you say?
I'm heavily on Barcelona here because the Real Madrid side is not functioning properly. He has so many issues to try and figure out, which Hansi Flick has less. Not that he has none, but he has less. And defensively, I think we even saw at the end of this game against Getafe, who are a physical, well-organised side, but they're not great going forward. We saw how many problems that they could create when they decided to go forward. And I just think, once again, this Real Madrid defence will not be able to handle Barcelona. So at this moment in time, I'm seeing another Barcelona win.
Just a reminder, that game is live and exclusive on ESPN+. Our coverage starts at 3 p.m. Eastern. Parade launched a worldwide ad campaign today featuring Lamine Yamal. He sat down with Moises Llorente and spoke about that and so much more.
Pues es mucha ilusión al final, una campaña con una marca tan importante como Powerade, pues te da ilusión al final, es la marca que todo niño bebía, al menos aquí en España, entonces con mucha ilusión y muy contento de poder juntarme con marcas así.
Dice que la mezclan mucho con, o sea, que el flow que tiene, que llega mucho de la mano también de Rocafonda, ¿no? de tus orígenes.
Hombre, muchas veces hemos jugado partiditos y hemos hecho un parón para ver un power y la verdad, así que tienen cosas en común. Entonces, pues bueno, la verdad que muy contento que salga en mi barrio en una campaña así tan importante y pues muy feliz de que el barrio sea reconocido y cuando hayan cosas de estas, pues que salga el nombre de mi barrio y lo tengan en cuenta.
Vosotros sois un equipo hecho de cantera. Para este tramo de temporada, el haber entendido lo que es el fútbol formativo, lo que es entender lo que es el Barça, ¿eso ayuda?
Sí, ayuda mucho porque yo creo que cuando fichan muchos jugadores de fuera, al final necesitan un proceso de adaptación, de saber jugar juntos. En cambio, al final, aunque yo no haya jugado con Gavi en el fútbol formativo, por ejemplo, ya sé cómo es jugar con un jugador parecido a él, porque al final en la cantera jugamos todos a lo mismo, al tiki-taka típico del Barça, entonces yo creo que nos entendemos muy bien y yo creo que se nota. Al final el Barça es de las mejores canteras del mundo y yo creo que en ese momento cuando suben canteranos se nota mucho.
¿Y estudias mucho al rival que te vas a medir? ¿O improvisas?
No lo miro nada. O sea, hay jugadores que sí miran, por ejemplo, Robert mira vídeos de los centrales y todo, pero yo no miro nada de lateral, yo creo que mejor así.
¿En un día de descanso ves fútbol?
Sí veo. Día de descanso, cuando juego partidos también me levanto de la siesta y veo fútbol.
¿Y cuál es el mejor consejo que te han dado en un vestuario, Lamine?
Yo creo que en Rafa, hace no sé cuánto, hace 2 meses o no sé, pero bueno, me dijo un mensaje que me ayudó mucho, la verdad, que no me había dicho nadie. En ese momento puede ser que lo necesitara y no lo sabía, entonces fue un mensaje que aprecié mucho de él como persona, como capitán, porque no cualquiera se preocupa por ti, aunque parezca que tú estés muy bien, él se preocupó, me dijo cómo estás y la verdad que fue el último y el que me ayudó mucho.
¿Y cuántas veces te han dicho que un niño de 17 años a las 9 de la noche, que es cuando empieza un partido de Champions, tendría que estar acabando de cenar porque al día siguiente hay cole?
Muchos laterales de primera división, muchos centrales, muchas veces yo creo, muchas veces. De eso y también, ¿qué haces aquí? Tenías que estar en el cole, cosas así, en la Eurocopa muchas veces.
No te da miedo nada, ¿no, Lamine?
No, pero no sé cuándo, o sea, de pequeño sí que cuando me daban una patada a lo mejor no quiero otra, ¿sabes? Pero ahora mismo la verdad que no me da...
Bueno, te has llevado buenos golpes últimamente.
Sí, yo creo que también ha sido eso, no me preocupo.
Luis, it's quite something, isn't it? 17 years of age to not only do what he does on the pitch, but just the confidence to speak. Like I've seen Xhaka do an interview when he was 25, and it's awful.
What?
Yeah, it's fantastic to listen to him. He's so mature. I mean, at 17 years old, he will be focusing on playing PlayStation. That probably he does. He will be on TikTok. That probably he does as well. But in the end, when he's on the field, you can see his maturity, his understanding of football. I think he mentioned something about being part of the academy and why he's so important once you arrive to the first team. Understanding of the space, the timing, where you have to move, what the players are going to do. This kind of movement you have been practicing since you are very young age. So I think it's fantastic. He just pointed out that it's not easy to arrive to the first team of Barcelona from different countries or different competitions and arrive and stick in that. You need adaptation of understanding what it is, the philosophy of Barcelona. And because he's been doing that, because Gavi, Fermin, Pedri, there are so many young talent players at the team, Balde, Cubarsí, they have played at the same way, at the same instant. I think it's just fantastic that connection is right there. So yeah, it's always a joy to hear from the young talent, how they feel, how they are coping with the situation, expectations, and much more with Lamine Yamal, that at some point a lot of people is waiting for a moment of doubt, a moment of low, and he hasn't had many. He continued growing and improving every single weekend. So that's fantastic. Hopefully we can enjoy Lamine Yamal for a long time.
I've seen one of your early interviews as well, when they were talking about your uncle.
Picking on everybody.
No, I'm just saying, look, this is 17, and you know, you're mouthy, you walk into a room, you like to be heard now, but back then you were like, oh yeah, my uncle was like looking at the ground, shy.
I don't think that was me.
I'm questioning a lot about this, Dan.
Oh, Shaka, I saw you on the news.
Yeah, but maybe I could. I tell you what, I couldn't speak like Lamine Yamal.
What's
But I tell you what, I frightened the death out of fullback. Oh my God, I was a world beater at 17. So,
But isn't that cool that even that, like, it's the same thing every time? You should be at school. What you doing here, little boy? He doesn't care. Clearly, it isn't.
well, not everybody's different, you know. As we sit here now, if all things go his way and he continues this trajectory, he's going to have the most unbelievable career. He's already had, you know, what's he won already? La Liga.
He's won the Euros.
And the Euros for his country.
They haven't won La Liga yet.
They're probably going to win La Liga. The Champions League is within touching distance.
Copa del Rey.
Copa del Rey at the weekend. So, I mean, there's nothing. I don't think any pundit could sit and really find a negative about this young man. And I think that's a good
Shaki,
thing.
you're feeling negative.
No, not with Lamine Yamal.
It's interesting what he's saying about Lewandowski, how he sometimes watches centre-backs on video to see, and he's like, I don't care who I'm playing.
That comes with youth as well. I think when you're that young, it still feels like a playground to you. I mean, while we're talking about a player who's won the Euros and is touching distance of all these titles, and to Craig's point, is on the shortlist for the Ballon d'Or. He's still enjoying this like it's on the playground with friends, and which is why I think some of the kind of teasing from opponents doesn't register, because when you're playing that well, when you're that good, that kind of thing doesn't bother you in the slightest. It doesn't put you off at all in the slightest. And long may that continue. I guess maybe in time he will kind of grow into kind of scouting more and watching opponents a little bit closer. But as of right now, just play the game as naturally as it comes. Let nothing deter you.
Luis, thank you very much. Luis, of course, will be with us throughout the week as we build up to the Copa del Rey. Before that, though, 4 games in La Liga for you, including Atletico Madrid against Rayo Vallecano. Rayo, of course, in big trouble. Be sure to join them at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
And I know that this is not popular, especially amongst Real Madrid fans, but that be careful what you wish for. This was the type of performance that Carlo Ancelotti, as a manager, can put out. Can manage the players even without your best and still find a way to get a result. Next year, if he's not there, can someone command that same type of respect? This is Carlo Ancelotti we're talking about.
1-0 victory over Getafe in the end, and that cuts the gap back to 4 points. Barcelona on 76, Real Madrid on 72. Can they do it? And I think the key thing here in this game, all week we were building up. There was a lot of narrative around the press conference, wasn't there? The media saying that Carlo Ancelotti is sort of too much Mr. Nice Guy. You need to go in there and really drag it out of your players, saying that, you know, he was retorting with the fact that that's just not my style. If you want someone to do that, go and get another manager. And I think you have to tip your hat to him. We said that Getafe, all week we've been saying that this is going to be a tricky game for Real Madrid, given the way they performed against Barcelona, particularly this season. But they got the job done. Who cares if it's a 1-0 victory or a 4-0 victory? Ultimately, it's all about 3 points.
Set out to get 3 points, and doing so without Kylian Mbappe, who's injured. Obviously, rotating this side with a massive Clásico this weekend in the Copa del Rey final, which is really the biggest game of the season for Real Madrid. They were able to get it done with a performance. I think it's even more massive for just the confidence of the group to get it done with the players that were on the pitch, with Arda Güler, with an Endrick, with kind of hanging on there for at the end. To do it that way, it almost gives it a little bit more drama, but gives them confidence that they don't need to have all of their players on the pitch and they can go out and win a tricky game at the Coliseo. We mentioned, this team, Getafe, beat Atletico Madrid at their stadium. They drew against Barcelona at their stadium. It very easily could have been a draw, but Madrid did just enough, and they'll take that confidence moving forward. And here's the lineup. Obviously, a lot of rotation, as you can see here. Brahim Diaz, Arda Güler, Endrick, Vinny Jr. did start the match. Alaba did have to come out. Apparently, he has suffered an injury, is what Carlo Ancelotti said after the game. So it was important to get a victory, however it might be, especially with the players that they put on the pitch. I think it gives them a little bit more confidence.
How much do you think this comes down to the coaching of Carlo Ancelotti? Because there is some rumours that he may be moving on on from Real Madrid over the summer. But for me, it's a case of be careful what you wish for, because this is what the guy does best.
Exactly, and I've been saying this, and I know that this is not popular, especially amongst Real Madrid fans. But that be careful what you wish for. This was the type of performance that Carlo Ancelotti, as a manager, can put out, can manage the players even without your best and still find a way to get a result. Next year, if he's not there, can someone command that same type of respect? This is Carlo Ancelotti we're talking about. This is a manager that has won everything and has proved to do it in multiple ways with tons of different players. And it is interesting that they're just maybe moving on. I think what he did today was a managing masterclass, was pulled the right buttons, put the right players on the pitch in the right positions to be able to get the job done. Obviously, they would have liked a little bit more of a cushion here, not just winning 1-0, but it was managed perfectly well by a manager that has consistently shown that he could do it. And for some reason, they're talking about him not having this position next year. To me, it's still kind of befuddling. I don't understand.
Arda Güler got the crucial goal. He hasn't always had too much of an opportunity in this team, and that's understandable given the quality of the players that are ahead of him. But do you think he made a case potentially to get more minutes?
Yes, but I don't know if those minutes will be coming a ton before the end of the season. He is clearly a player with supreme talent that I think is one of the futures of this club, without a doubt. He still has some moments where you see physically he does get bodied off the ball. He does get pushed around a little bit. He is still so young, and that body
he
really
looks about 9 years old.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, look at him right there. But he proves that he's got the talent to do it. I don't know if those minutes will be coming the rest of this season, but it's clear that he is in the plans of this club for the future. Showed it out today again with a beautiful goal with his weaker foot. He is a player that's going to be the future of this club. Maybe has earned some of those extra minutes. Not sure he's going to get them, but I think that relationship between him and Carlo Ancelotti, whether he's going to be here next year or not with this club, it's clearly one of understanding that Arda does understand he's not going to get a ton of minutes with all of these teams. He goes, the celebration I think is kind of telling. Arda scores the goal, goes straight to Carlo Ancelotti, gives him a big hug. Ancelotti gives him a big kiss on the cheek. So that relationship is clearly there. There is an understanding that, look, you're not going to get a ton of minutes, but I believe in you, and you can be a player that can provide for this club, whether it's now or next season.
He's like his granddad, isn't he?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Do you think Real Madrid and Carlo Ancelotti have looked at the success, and in some ways it is forced, that Hansi Flick and Barcelona have had with giving these young players the opportunity? They've had to do so because of the financial difficulties, and that will precipitate, maybe this season, early next season, a slight change in tactics, that they give the opportunities to the youngsters, because Barcelona have proved that a lot of them are ready for this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's also kind of what does Real Madrid do moving forward? Because all everyone wants to talk about this summer is who are Real Madrid going to sign? Who are they going to bring in? Maybe that's more for the back line and maybe for the midfield, and you still have those younger players that can be a force moving forward for this team. But I don't know. I don't see Real Madrid wanting to play a bunch of young guys. It's just not their DNA. They probably should do it. They have some players that can do it. They don't have to go out and spend a ton of money on a huge number of players in the attack. The attack has everything they need. I think where they need to spend money is on the back line, that is really being pieced together now, match in, match out. So I don't see them wanting to play a ton of the younger players, but probably is the right decision.
Small matter of a Clásico on Saturday for all of us to look forward to. From the Real Madrid perspective, how important is getting a result in that game for them mentally? Because, from Barcelona's side, you sort of say, well, this is a distraction ahead of the Champions League next week.
Without a doubt. This is, I think, is Real Madrid's season right here. I mean, clearly they could still win La Liga, but this is their best chance right now to win a trophy. And having to beat your bitter rivals that have dominated you all season. Kylian Mbappe expected to be in the lineup for Real Madrid after missing this game with that ankle injury. Both teams still, have some injuries, have had some issues the last few matches, and just finding ways to get results. But this is my opinion. This is Real Madrid's season right here. This is the best chance they have to win a trophy, because we all know that as much as I wanted to back Carlo Ancelotti on this team, and he probably, I think, should continue on as the manager of Real Madrid, I do understand if they go trophyless if it's time to move on. So this is huge for Ancelotti and for the club.
Picking up from that point, if they win it, does that save Ancelotti's job, or do you not think it has an impact?
I mean, I think it should. I don't know whether it will, because it seems almost like this is we're just kind of waiting to finish to the end of the season to make this news official, because we've been talking about it for 2 weeks already. I believe that he should stay, especially if he wins that trophy. That gives you something. But Real Madrid fans will tell you that Copa del Rey isn't enough to save the job, even if it's Carlo Ancelotti who's won everything for your club.
Every word Mikel Arteta said on Crystal Palace, Arsenal's 13 draws, and Thomas Partey's contract. After Arsenal's frustrating 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace in the Premier League, Mikel Arteta faced the press with visible disappointment. A costly error, this time from William Saliba, marked the second time in 3 games that individual mistakes led to dropped points, and it's not a trend the Arsenal boss will want to see repeated. Arteta didn't hide his frustration. Without Mikel Merino available and with several players missing, his team lacked the control and consistency needed to dominate. Yes, disappointed with the result and also with the performance, he said. We never really got the consistency in key areas to fully control the match. Even though we had the ball, we scored twice. It never felt like we were in charge the way we usually are. The turning point came with Palace's second goal, a moment that summed up the Gunners' inability to see out games when it matters most. With a crucial Champions League clash with PSG on the horizon, some wondered whether players had one eye on that tie. Arteta didn't want to entertain that excuse. I hope not. We had 6 full days to prepare. Yes, we're missing key players who couldn't even train, but that's part of the game, he explained. He also gave credit to Palace, calling them a well-organized side that made things difficult for us. When asked about Arsenal's league-high 13 draws this season, Arteta admitted there were deeper issues. We've struggled to close out games for a number of reasons. Sometimes it's down to the opponent, and we've also had 5 matches playing with 10 men. But yes, it's something we've done better in the past, especially when we've been ahead. He was also asked about Martinelli's disallowed goal. It took too long, and I haven't seen the replay yet, so I can't say much, he said. On whether all these draws are a lesson for a title-chasing team, absolutely. You can't afford to draw this many if you want to win the league. We've only lost 3 games, 2 of those with 10 men, but we need to win far more. The conversation then turned to the league table. With Arsenal having chased Liverpool for much of the season, the focus is now shifting to holding their position. Is Arteta worried about teams behind them? We're always aware, he said. Winning in the Premier League is incredibly tough, and with the number of games we're playing, we need to be at our best in both competitions. And what about finishing second? We'll see. Right now, it's about taking things game by game and doing everything we can. As for the squad, Arteta confirmed that both Mikel Merino and Ben White missed the game due to fitness issues. We'll have to wait and see if they're available for Tuesday. He also praised Leandro Trossard, who has responded strongly after being left out against Real Madrid, scoring 4 goals in 4 league matches. He's been fantastic. Whether he starts or comes off the bench, as a no. 9 or out wide, he's always ready, always sharp, and can make a difference. That's exactly what we ask from our players. Finally, Arteta was asked about Thomas Partey's future, with reports of a new contract surfacing. I already addressed that the other day. It's not for me to provide further updates at this time. Arteta's comments sparked a wave of reaction across both fans and pundits. For many supporters, the frustration wasn't just about the draw, it was about the pattern that's been emerging in recent weeks. The Gunners have now dropped points in key moments not because they were outplayed, but due to lapses in focus, inconsistency, and missed opportunities to kill off games. On social media, fans questioned the defensive fragility that's crept into the side, especially given the high standards set earlier in the season. Saliba's costly mistake, while uncharacteristic, drew attention to the mounting pressure on Arsenal's backline in the absence of a full-strength squad. With key players like Jurrien Timber and Takahiro Tomiyasu still on the sidelines, the depth in defense is clearly being tested. The timing of the draw couldn't be worse. With a massive Champions League quarter-final clash looming, fans and analysts alike are beginning to ask whether this Arsenal side has the mental resilience to balance both domestic and European ambitions. At the same time, the question of Thomas Partey's future remains unresolved. Despite Arteta's vague response, reports suggest that negotiations are underway for a contract extension that would keep the Ghanaian midfielder at the Emirates for the long term. Partey, who has battled injuries throughout the campaign, remains a crucial figure in Arteta's setup when fit. But the club faces a difficult decision: invest in his experience, or begin phasing in younger midfield talent like Declan Rice and Emile Smith-Rowe in more permanent roles. Meanwhile, Leandro Trossard's resurgence has been a rare bright spot. His ability to impact games, whether starting or coming off the bench, has given Arsenal an important attacking option in the final stretch of the season. If he continues this run, he may force his way into Arteta's Champions League plans. Looking ahead, the pressure is mounting. With just a handful of league fixtures remaining and the Champions League knockout rounds intensifying, Arteta's men are entering a make-or-break phase. They're still in the title conversation, but draws like this one are beginning to cast doubt on their credentials. Can they learn from these mistakes and bounce back in time for their date with Paris Saint-Germain? Arteta believes so, but as he's said many times this season, belief has to be backed by action. The next few weeks will define not just Arsenal's season, but perhaps Arteta's evolution as a manager. Tactically sharp and emotionally invested, the Spaniard now faces the ultimate test, turning promise into silverware.